Okay, so there's a question from somebody. So if somebody takes the Bodhisattva vow, he or she promises to work until all living beings are free from suffering. If there are a certain number of beings in samsara and all become free of suffering, then the job of the Bodhisattva is done. But if space is infinite, then there must be infinite beings in samsara. This would mean that the Bodhisattva never gets to an end. So why do we then promise to work until samsara ends? This is the question that a Tibetan would not ask. Here, sentient beings are countless, and they say we never reach an end to them because although there's a finite number, they are countless. Be that as it may. But is that really important? I think the main important thing in the Bodhisattva vow is to generate the feeling inside of us that has a very, very strong mind that says, I will remain and benefit sentient beings, each and every single one of them, until samsara ends. Because if you're going to benefit even one being and lead them to liberation, you have to have that mind that is saying, I'm going to hang around until samsara ends to benefit sentient beings. Do you get what I'm saying? Like to have a mind strong enough to be able to really lead one being to liberation, you have to be willing in your mind to stay in samsara an awful long time to help them. Because it's not like, well, I've decided to lead you to liberation, so come on board and in 3 weeks we'll be there. You know, it's not like that. I mean, look at this. It's beginningless. Time is beginningless. We are still in samsara. Think of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that have vowed to remain until samsara ends in order to liberate us. It's sure a good thing they did, because since beginningless time we haven't been liberated yet. So if they didn't have that aim to stay around until all of samsara is over, no matter whether that's finite or infinite, it doesn't matter, then they would have quit benefiting us a long time ago, because they would have gotten fed up. You know, because we don't listen to them. They're trying to lead us to enlightenment, and we're going, well, you know, I'm really not in the mood for it today. Let's go have some fun instead. Okay? So, you know, the point in our practice isn't to look at these kinds of details, because, you know, whether they make sense or not, in my mind, has no relationship to my practice. You know? What has a relationship to my practice is the fact that I have to be willing to stay until samsara ends, no matter whether that's finite or infinite. Okay? You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay? Similarly, the question that you asked last week about, well, what do we do when all sentient beings get enlightened? I usually respond, you know, that's the biggest of our problems. You know, let's wait until that happens and then we'll figure out what to do. But I think that, you know, what that question comes from, when I look in my own mind, because I asked that question way back when too, is that I'm looking at the world just through my very limited perspective right now. And this is why Christian heaven never appealed to me. It sounded so boring. You get there and you're with your relatives all day. And you're supposedly having fun. But you know, I mean, how much fun? I already had a lot of fun with my relatives. You know, it didn't sound very appealing to me. Okay? But, you know, that's all my mind can conceptualize as something desirable, is being with the people you love and having fun with them. But in Buddhism, when we talk about liberation and enlightenment, being with our relatives and having fun is not in the picture. You know, that's not the Buddhist idea of, you know, the ultimate happiness and peace that our mind is capable of. So if I'm asking that question within my very limited mind, thinking that, you know, enlightenment means I'm having fun at Disneyland with my family every day, then of course it doesn't sound interesting. But, you know, here I have to really expand my knowledge and thought of what the mind is and what we living beings are capable of experiencing. And it's way, way beyond what my ordinary limited thought is. Okay? So if I realize that, then all sentient beings being enlightened isn't going to sound boring, and it's not going to make me feel like, well, okay, they all get enlightened, then what? You know, what am I going to do? Because when I'm enlightened, I'm not going to have this restless, bored mind that always has to have some new stimulation in order to, you know, feel good. I'm not going to be adrenaline addicted when I'm a Buddha, okay? So this question, you know, the questions we ask often are coming, you know, I mean, they're very natural for people like us who have had an education, but they're coming from a very limited view. So we have to realize this and kind of learn more about what the mind is, about what samsara is, and what liberation and enlightenment are, and what the purpose of some of these meditations are, so that we really understand how this thing fits together. Okay? Now tell me, are your future lives finite or infinite? Are your future lives finite or infinite? And are you going to have to meditate and solve that question before you practice the Dharma? If you got stuck on that question and didn't do any Dharma practice until you answered it, then for sure your future lives are going to be infinite. Yeah. If you didn't worry about that question and just did the practice to transform your mind and free yourself from suffering, then your future lives will be finite. Okay?